Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hi there. Right. Before starting this video, I would like to present my condolences to the family of Professor Shishan, our colleague who passed away a few days ago. It was a great loss for our university. We pray God to forgive him, and may Allah bless him and rest in his vast paradise. Today, we are going to talk about the two last tenses that remain in our program. A quick review to the tenses that we have seen so far in this second semester. Look at this table showing the 12 tenses. In English, each tense has two parts: a time and an aspect. All right? And we have 3 times: the present, the past, the future, and 4 aspects: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. When combining the times, the 3 times and the 4 aspects, we have the 12 tenses, or we get the 12 tenses, which are present simple, present continuous, present perfect, present perfect continuous, past simple, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. The last aspect, that is, or the last tense, the future, future simple, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. We have seen so far these tenses: the present simple, the present continuous, present perfect continuous. Just a quick reminder to these tenses. The present simple, we talked about the different cases where the present simple is used. We talked about habits, we talked about repeated actions, we talked about permanent actions, and so on and so forth. Then we talked about the present continuous. The present continuous is used in 2 cases: when we talk about an action happening at the moment of speaking. The second case, that is when we talk about an action happening around now, but not necessarily at the moment of speaking. Like when we say, we are learning English this year. This doesn't mean we are learning at that moment, but around now. I mean, the period of time stretches sometime in the past and sometime in the future. The present perfect, we talked about this tense, and we talked about the main cases where the present perfect is used. We talked about the recent past as the first case. When we have a result of an action that happened in the past, but the results are at present time. We talked about when concluding results from present evidence. If we have present evidence, for instance, the streets are wet, what can we conclude? It has been raining, or it has rained, if we talk about the present perfect. Then we talked about the present perfect continuous when we talk about an action happening in progress, imperfect. The example of the streets are wet, it has been raining. Then we talked about the past simple, and the main case where the past simple is used, it is when we express an action that happened and finished in the past. Then we talked about the past continuous, or the past progressive, a tense that we use when we talk about an action that happened in the past in progress over a period of time. All right? The next tense, that is the past perfect. The past perfect is used when we talk about an action that happened before a specific point in time in the past. We imagine a point in time in the past and something happened before that point. To say, for instance, by 1962, Algeria had won its independence. Algeria got its independence before that point in time in the past, which is 1962. The past perfect continuous, another tense expressing actions happening in the past and before a specific point in time in the past in progress. To say, for instance, by 8 this morning, I had been running for 2 hours. This means that I started running at 6. And by 8, and before, an action happened in progress that is expressed in the past perfect continuous. The next tense that we have dealt with, the future simple. The future simple is used to express actions that will happen in the future or haven't happened yet. And for this we have 4 forms. We have the form will, when we use will when we guess something to happen in the future. We're not certain, but we guess to happen. It could be 50% or more or less. When we give a promise to do or not to do something in the future, for instance, you did bad in class, then you say, or your parents blamed you for this, and you say, I promise I will work harder the second term. And we have other forms, begoing to, which is used when we talk about an action that we predict to happen according to present evidence or a present situation. For instance, if it is cloudy now, what can we guess to happen? We can say, look at the sky, it's going to rain. As a result of the present situation, we predict something to happen. That is, we say it's going to rain. And it is also used when we express intentions. I'm going to do something. The next form, the third form with which the future is expressed is the present simple. And this is a special use of the present to express the future when we talk about scheduled events. Something that is known according to a timetable, a schedule, a program. To say, for instance, my plane leaves tomorrow at 11. Tomorrow is a future time marker, and I need to use the future, but I don't say will leave. It leaves. Why? The leaving or the departure time is known according to a program or a timetable. We use the last form, that is the fourth one, with which the future can be expressed, is the present continuous. The present continuous is used when we talk about fixed arrangements, something that you decide to do with someone in the future. It is a fixed arrangement. To say, for instance, Algeria is playing Argentina next June. Algeria is playing or are playing, it depends, because we are talking about a collective noun, we are referring to the team, the football team. So we can use is or are, both are correct with this collective noun when we refer to the team, all right, the two teams. So Algeria is playing Argentina next June is playing present continuous to express something that will happen in the future. Why? Because it is a fixed arrangement. All right, we stopped here. So what remains is the future continuous, the future perfect, and the future perfect continuous. In this session, we are going to talk about these three tenses quickly in this short presentation. The future continuous, the form first of the future continuous, will be plus verb plus ing. I will be doing something. When we talk about something that will happen at a point in time in the future, in progress, right? We see examples about this. Look at the example, the first one. Rita will be taking the dog for a walk at noon. At noon, now it is 10 o'clock, right? This is our future, the timeline, future, now, past. Now it is 10, all right? And here is 12, noon. So something will happen in progress at this point in time, or it begins at this point in time in the future. So Rita will be taking the dog for a walk at noon. So the action of taking the dog for a walk happens in progress over a period of time, and it starts in the future. She won't be cleaning. Yes, we can use the negative form if something won't happen or won't be happening at a specific point in time in the future, in progress. She won't be cleaning the house. The third example, I will be eating dinner at 7. Now it is 10. 7 p.m. is sometime in the future. So I say, I will be eating dinner at 7 p.m. The fourth example, at this time tomorrow, we will be doing the exam. All right? So this is not true, just an example. At this time tomorrow, tomorrow is Thursday. At this time, Thursday at 10, we will be doing the exam. At the last example, tomorrow, I will be giving a talk at the conference. I will be giving a talk, point in time in the future, and something happens in progress. All right, we can see this on this timeline here. Now, the point in time in the future, and something happens in progress. The second point, the future continuous, can be used with the form be going to. What does this mean? We can use be going to. We just substitute or remove will and put be going to instead, and we get a new form of the future. For instance, if we take the example, the previous example, Rita, yes, Rita will be taking the dog for a walk at 12 or at noon. All right? Will can be substituted for be going to, and we get Rita, all right, is going to, this is the form be going to instead of will, and we carry on to be taking, right, the dog for a walk at noon. So we will have this form. All right? Rita is going to be taking the dog for a walk at noon. We substitute will for be going to. The third point, if the sentence has a time clause, we use the present simple or present continuous in the time clause, but not the future or future continuous. What does this mean? If you have this sentence, for instance, I will be cooking while Rita, not the Rita, sorry. While Rita is cleaning. We have here future continuous, will be cooking, and Rita is cleaning present continuous. All right, we don't say, I will be cooking while Rita will be cleaning. All right, only present simple or present continuous in the time clause. The time clause that comes after the time expression while. Look at the second example in which we have the present simple instead of the present continuous. The kids will be sleeping by the time you get home. The kids will be sleeping, future continuous. By the time you get home, present simple. So the tense of the time clause that is introduced by is in the present simple. Next, how to ask questions in the future continuous. If you have a yes/no question in the future continuous, the form is will plus subject plus be plus verb plus ing. Example, will they be coming to the party tomorrow? Yes, they will. Or if the answer is, you have a negative answer, you say, no, they won't. Won't is the abbreviation or the contracted form of will not. And the last point to talk about concerning the future continuous is WH questions, WH word plus will plus subject plus verb plus be plus verb plus ing. The question is, A says, when will they be coming? When will they be coming? B answer says, they will be coming tomorrow at 8. They will be coming tomorrow at 8. This is just a reminder, something that we talked about when we usually talk about progressive tenses. We say progressive tenses don't match with the ing form. We don't put the ing form with stative verbs, like verb to know. I will know my test results next week, but not I will be knowing. Why? Verb to know is a stative verb. The next tense, so we finished with the future continuous. The future perfect. The future perfect, we talk about the form will not plus have plus past participle. And we have these two sentences as an example to have an idea about the present perfect, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Imagine that you bought a car and you would say, by June, I will have been driving my new car for a year. This means that you bought your car last June, and by next June, you will be, or you'll have been driving your new car for a year. The second example is about the future perfect. You can say, I will have driven 10,000 miles by then. The next point to talk about the future perfect and future perfect continuous. When we use the future perfect, we imagine a certain point of time in the future, and we think about something completed before that point. This is why it is called the past in the future. How this? The past in the future, if you look at this example, in this timeline, this is the future, now past. We imagine a point in time in the future and something to be completed before that point in time. This is why it is called the past in the future. All right, we carry on. We talked about, or we were at example B. We were moving to Paris next year. By 2030, we will be, or we will have been living there for several years, and it should feel like home. The next example, that is C, you have the context between brackets, which is I began teaching English in 2003. I can say by 2023, I will have been teaching English for 20 years. All right? So we can represent this on a timeline, future, now, past. I began in 2003 by a point in time in the future, that is by 2023, I will have been teaching English for 20 years. The next example, D, you have the context of the sentence between brackets. I started work at the University of Adrar in 2012. I can say by next September, I will have been working at the University of Adrar for 8 years. So the main idea, that is, we imagine a point in time in the future, and we think about something to be achieved before that point in time in the future in progress. All right? There is a last note to talk about here about the future perfect continuous. The future perfect continuous focuses on how long, and often includes the length of time. So you have for 20 years, for 8 years, the length of the period of time over which an action has been completed before a specific point in time in the future. Example, you will have been speaking French for 10 years by then. If you go back to the example of, example B, we were moving to Paris next year. By 2030, we will have been living there for several years, and it should feel like home. You can conclude this. You will have been speaking French for 10 years by then. For represents the length, how long, the length of the period of time. The last slide, number 3, we use the future perfect or the future perfect continuous with the present simple to show the order of events. This should be thought of exactly like when we talked about the past perfect and past simple, when we have two actions both in the past and the order is important. So we use the present perfect, the past perfect to express the action that happened chronologically first, and the past simple to express the action that happened second. Remember when we talked about the past perfect for the action that happened first, chronologically, and past simple to express the action that happened second. We think about this exactly when we talk about the future perfect and future and present simple, two actions in the future, and the order is important. It is important to know which one happened first, or will happen first, if we are talking about the future. So we use the future perfect or future perfect continuous for the action that will happen first, and the present simple or present continuous to express the action that will happen second. We have examples here. The first event is expressed in the future perfect, first event here, or future perfect continuous, if it happens or it will happen in progress. And the second event is expressed in the present simple. Look at the examples that we have here. Example 1, by the time you arrive I will have finished dinner. Two actions, and the order is important to know which one happened first. By the time you arrive, present simple to express the action that happens or will happen first. I will have finished dinner. All right? So the action expressed in the future perfect is the first one, and the second is in the present simple. By the time you arrive, I will have finished dinner. The second example, by the time you arrive, I will have been reading for an hour. By the time you arrive, if we have an action that happens or will happen in progress before a point in time, that is, you arrive, by the time you arrive, I will have been reading for an hour. I will have been reading for an hour. All right? So the future perfect or future perfect continuous is associated or used combined with the present simple when the order is important, the order of the action that will happen in the future. We use the present simple to express the action that happens second, and the future perfect or future perfect continuous to express the action that will happen first in the future. I think these are future perfect continuous. This is the last tense, all right, among the 12 tenses that we have in English, to which we can add two other forms. One is used to, which is a form to express the past, particularly the past habits, and to make contrast between the past and present time. And it is not scheduled, right? So don't worry about this form with which the past is expressed. The last one is imperatives. It is a form with which we express orders or we give commands, right? I sent you on the platform the two lectures about the used to and imperatives, but they are not included in the program. So our program stops here. Future perfect continuous. The next session will be devoted to the series of exercises concerning the future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon, and bye.